Hello and welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed, our panel podcast composed of a motley crew of international goofballs. Our normal host, Jeremy Taylor, is out this week. He's meeting with his high school buddy, a guy we will only refer to as the Donald, who needs help introducing their new friend Vladimir to all of the Donald's new friends. So, I am Lewis Walton. I am going to be your host. I'm normally referred to as the Doctor, but you guys can just call me Lewis. That makes more sense. This week, we have Kath, as usual.
Hello.
And we are joined by Chris Magerkurth.
Hello.
Is that the right way to say your name?
Magerkurth.
Magerkurth.
That's not the German pronunciation.
And what is the German pronunciation?
I believe it's something along the lines of Magerkurth.
Magerkurth.
Sure, it's not.
No, it's not that fun.
Have Ivo pronounce it. He'll do that.
And his awesome wife, Lynn Wang.
Oh, that's very
We are here, and since Jeremy isn't hosting, we're probably going to be a little bit of a different show. We're going to more or less interview each other as opposed to just, having a host that interviews everybody. But before we get to that, I want to talk to you guys about what's pissing me off. There's a lot of stuff that pisses me off, and this is something that is driving me crazy. I think I'm actually outgrowing Facebook. I think I have to go away from Facebook altogether. There's two things on Facebook in particular that are driving me crazy right now. Number one, the vague booking. Have you guys heard of this term, vague booking?
What
Okay,
does
Not
it
until
mean?
you mentioned it.
Okay, so vague booking is where I'll give you the example of my wife's friend who friended me because I'm awesome, and she's kind of an attention hound. Mm-hmm. So every post that she posts is something along the lines of, "You really shouldn't have treated me that way," and that's the entirety of the post. So then she's waiting for all of her Facebook friends to get online and make the comment, what's wrong, so that she can then explain how she's been mistreated by whomever, guy, girl, family, whatever, within the comments section of her original post.
Attention seeking on Facebook.
Attention seeking.
Very passive aggressive.
Yes. So
Oh,
that drives me crazy, and it almost drives me as crazy as this thing that, quite honestly, I don't even understand why it bothers me at the level that it does, and that is particular clickbait titles on Facebook, specifically the ones that say, watch what happens when, and I'm just going to make up some names and topics, watch what happens when Tom Hanks destroys racism in this one interview. And it drives me absolutely crazy. It's like, can you not understand that this is completely designed to capture your attention and cause you to click on this link? Because no matter what Tom Cruise said, or Tom Hanks, or it doesn't matter. Whatever he said, he did not destroy racism. He made a pithy comment. So whenever I see that, I literally think to myself, if I know somebody that clicks on this title, I will punch them. Because it annoys me
Yeah,
just
but
that
the
much.
titles, Tom Hanks makes a pithy comment, just don't get any clicks,
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. I guess.
This is how they're making a living.
Same thing you used to see with the commercials for like the shows like Inside Edition and those gossip shows. You'd see the commercial for 30 seconds and see what this celebrity's doing now. And
Yeah, but I mean, that's I guess
It's
for me.
supermarket tabloid on Facebook.
I think all that stuff is I guess a little bit more sophisticated for me. Like, this thing seems to be designed to say to you, every preconceived notion that you have in life is somehow vindicated and qualified by this one thing that this person says. And when I read it, I'm just like, no, this is absolutely not what this thing does. This guy made a pithy comment, and we might be interested in reading it. He did not destroy Donald Trump. He did not destroy the left. None of that stuff ever happens. This guy made a comment. It made somebody go, huh. And so we put it into a advertisement.
Do you think it'll die down in usage as people get used to it?
no, it's been around for years, and it's just basically, the clickbait stuff doesn't bother me so much because it's just, free market capitalism at work. You've got something to sell, which is basically clicks. you want to bring people to your site because then you can say to the advertisers, I get so many sites and I can charge you X number of dollars to, advertise on my site. So, that's the way the world's been working for a long time.
See, I probably have less than 50 friends on Facebook. And I check Facebook once or twice a week, just to check people I really want to see. Like my friend's 2-year-old daughter, my friend in Hawaii. Other than that, all my real friends, I know what they're doing, how they're doing. I know I don't need to really go through all of those. But one thing I have to say, Facebook is good to bring the world closer. So you don't have to tell 10 different, 20, 100 different people the same thing 100 times.
Facebook is evolving.
Right.
Okay, a lot of people like me and you don't use it that much. I use it to see pictures of people I like. I never put pictures up because I don't want them to see what I'm like. But but it's changing all the time.
Right.
We have no idea what it's going to look like even a year from now, really. Maybe these click ads will be gone.
I don't expect the click ads to actually leave. I just want this particular style of clickbait ad to go away.
Do I see?
It literally, there's something about that particular phrasing where it's like this person destroys something with words just gets under my skin.
The one I've been seeing recently is, Elizabeth Shue was gorgeous, in the 80s, but what she looks like now is...
Oh, there's a lot of those. You'll never believe what so-and-so looks like now. For heaven's sake, I believe it.
Oh, I hate those things.
Yeah.
And they're not just on Facebook, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they bait you in, and then you have to click to get to the next one. And
that's the annoying part. When you actually do succumb to the temptation of clicking on it, you have to then click 10 times to get the whole story.
And the tricky part of that is they hide the forward button among a whole bunch of stuff
There's
that will go to
many
the wrong
arrows,
things.
Many arrows, and you click, it's inevitably you click on a million ads before you click on the one.
And if you're not careful, you'll end up with malware and spyware on your computer.
Yeah, even if you're careful. It doesn't matter. It's just a disaster. What are we talking about?
Things that piss
We
you off.
started about talking
Hello,
about
Ivo.
things that piss me off, and I was just going to toss it out to the rest of the panel here and see if there's anything that pisses anybody else off.
So that pisses you off?
That the clickbait and the vague booking. You weren't here to hear me talk about the vague booking. That's where my wife has a friend that every post she has basically says, I hate it when you treat me that way, and that's all the post says.
I hate those. Like somebody, like drama queens and kings.
That's it.
Like they'll say, this is the worst day of my entire life. And then they're waiting. And they're waiting to see how many. What happened? Those assholes. Those monumental assholes.
People have got to be unfriending them right, left, and center. I mean, you don't put up with that for very long, do you?
So what?
I just ignore those posts. I mean, there are people on my Facebook that I'm friends with just really tangentially. A couple of them are actually, pretty horrible people in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I haven't unfriended them just so that I can get a sense of the arguments that they make, so that when I encounter those people in real life, or people like that in real life, I've seen their arguments already, and I've already come up with arguments against what they're saying.
Or know how to avoid them altogether.
That's even more.
So who else has?
Nope. This just been me ranting for like the last 10 minutes. So I was just
He's on a ranting mood today.
I was just about to ask Chris if he's got anything.
The big one, my biggest pet peeve is people who don't repair their ball marks on greens. I know
he's a golfer.
I know it's a serious first world problem, but
you've got a serious issue.
Oh
my God!
He plays bowls. I don't know.
When I play, I'm always repairing at least 4 or 5 ball marks on every green that I go to because people can't take the 5 to 10 seconds to clean and repair their marks. So.
Yeah.
What the hell is a ball mark? Sorry, the one black guy here.
Well, if you hit a really good shot to a green and it comes at a real high trajectory and the green is really soft, it will leave a hole.
Like a little divot.
That's one way to explain ball mark. The other one is on your underwear. After you don't wash it for a week or so.
Well, I washed
my
my
mama
underwear,
cured me
and
of
I've
that
never hit a
long
really
ago.
good shot to a green, so I wouldn't know.
How about you, Lynn?
No, I don't have any issues.
Oh my gosh, the hardworking people.
Right.
She doesn't want to say anything because it would incriminate me. So
I see.
True.
I see.
You're perfect too. You know.
yeah.
No, like,
Nothing.
Okay.
Oh,
really,
all right.
no.
It's about time you talk to me. Gosh. Now, my pet peeve is people who will jump in and talk over you halfway through a sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Never let you
Wait,
finish.
what?
And by raising their voice, they will have their way. And out of politeness, you will settle down and nurse a resentment that makes you want to stab them.
I am
Yeah.
so with you in this.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, I'm not being quiet because I'm being polite. It's because I don't want to have to try and repeat what my original thought was the 17 times I try to get the sentence out and get interrupted the 16 previous times before it finally becomes obvious enough that they're doing it.
Yeah.
That they shut up long enough to let me get
It's
my
old news now.
Yeah.
So basically, you are not allowed on a certain talk show, which we are not gonna name, but let's go with The View, because because you will basically slaughter the panel.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It's the old passive-aggressive
that is
thing.
unpleasant.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about me. I have so many things that piss me off on a daily basis that then I catch myself, every once in a while I catch myself, and I say, for the love of God, what is wrong with me? This is truly I'm turning into fucking Adam Carolla. You know, that asshole that spends hours whining about how first class in the airplanes is not what it used to be, and how somebody had the audacity to walk by him in first place and use the bathroom, the laboratory. And every once in a while I'm thinking, I'm driving and I'm start whining about somebody that's driving 80 in the fast lane because I want to drive 85. I'm like, God damn it, Ivo, what's wrong with you? You're completely. Or, oh my God, there's no almond milk in the Starbucks today. Or they forgot to put a lime in my Corona. Oh, great example. Okay, listen to this ridiculous thing. Yesterday, I purchased a giant statue of a giraffe. I'm not making this up. 7-foot fucking statue.
Made of what?
Of a giraffe made out of wood.
Oh my God.
A giant statue of a giraffe that I purchased because obviously I have lost my mind and I'm just completely
When are you planning to sell your wife?
A victim to a consumer society, consumer mentality, and purchase that. She
Jamie,
knows
I'm
about
assuming
it.
that
She
you
knows
weren't
about
there
it.
for this.
But here's what happens. We get the statue. I get the statue of this giant I even gave it a name, which must be the stupidest thing I've ever done.
Come on, we now need to know the name.
I don't know if you do, but.
You're vague, but
Okay, then I'm not going to say it. All right, I'll say, okay, it's Janine Girafalo. Janine Girafalo. I couldn't resist it.
Did you buy the giraffe just to name it that?
No, but here's the problem. Here's what happens. Get the freaking giant statue of a giraffe the size of Shaquille O'Neal and put it in the room. And now I start whining that it's too wobbly. And then after whining for a while, it's too wobbly, I stepped back and I thought, dude, the problem is not that the giant statue of a giraffe is too wobbly. The real problem is that you went and bought a giant statue of a giraffe. That is a very, very serious problem.
So, Ivo, for all of your fans out there that want to be just like you and go buy a giant giraph, where do you
Did you go to the Pier 1 import closeout sale?
Yes! How did you know?
Yes!
My God,
Had
you
to
knew
be.
it. You knew it.
Had to
Pier
be.
1.
I mean, as a financial analyst, you can always return that. You know what I mean? So you don't have to.
No, I don't want not
Yeah,
when the
I
store's
should
closing.
return it before I actually buy it. That's what I need to do.
Right.
This is
So-
the dumbest thing I've ever done.
You could dress it,
It
though.
looks pretty cool, damn it.
How
Yeah,
many
it's-
necklaces could you get on that thing?
I don't know about necklaces. I just like to caress it.
All right, that is disturbing.
Long, tall wooden things.
Let's
Okay.
go ahead and take that as an opportunity to move on.
Nice segue.
Okay, let's talk politics for a little bit. We are recording this 2 days before the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel fine.
Yeah.
Do you guys have your feelings changed very much since the election?
Nope.
So no more depressed, no less depressed, no more terrified.
I got over it pretty quick. I was kind of surprised to hear people the protests about him being elected and all of that. And my comment then was, wait until they start doing stuff and then protest. Once they start trying to ram through really crappy legislations, that's when the public needs to stand up and say,
No,
But the
they
crappy
got to start
legisla-
early. They got to start early. It's
I
too
think
late once
the
they start
well,
doing
I'm
it.
not talking. You still can express your disgust and apprehension about what's about to
But
happen.
it takes time to organize 200,000 people on,
Well, that's-
on Washington, and by the time you wait till they start doing the stuff, it's done.
But you can do that organization now. You don't have to actually get out and protest. You can call people and say, you know what, be ready on a moment's notice if this kind of stuff happens. But to protest the election, unless you've got actual physical evidence that this occurred and he truly is illegitimately the president, wait until they start trying to truly defund Planned Parenthood or start to, truly say, nope, you can't have any Muslims in the country, which is a gross violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution. Then you get up and then everybody says, this is wrong. This is against
Too late then.
what we stand for. And that's
Yeah,
never
you
too
don't-
late.
You got to scare the shit out of them first.
You don't think that by waiting long enough for the questions to be bandied about by representatives, instead of being talked about by us, literally the fact that people that have different vested interests that we don't know about are having the discussion doesn't mean the public shouldn't be speaking boisterously about this stuff ahead of time?
I wouldn't say speaking boisterously. I mean, if you want to write op-eds, you want start a podcast, call in radio shows, that kind of stuff, that's fine. But marching in the streets and that kind of stuff, that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. That it was what's the word I'm looking for? They just seemed like a bunch of crybabies.
I get that. No, that makes sense.
Protest
what you're
something that
saying.
is truly illegal.
See, I'm not sure that I would. I get exactly what you're saying. The whole crybaby thing. It's like if you look back to how the Republicans talked about Obama when he came in, they announced ahead of time that they were not going to work with him, and the folks that were interested in seeing what Obama could do, I'm assuming that means all of us, thought that it was just the childish, most immature, petty bullshit thing that we could ever see. So when we see people doing the same to Trump, I can make the I think I know where you're going. When we see people dismissing Trump's abilities out of hand before he's actually done anything, there's reminiscence to what you're talking about. The part I disagree with, though, is that it is not the case that we don't have an example of what Trump's gonna do.
I agree there.
We have an absolute example. We have the effect that we're seeing Trump have on assumably
Society.
normal people ahead of time. We just had that politician in Georgia or wherever it was that went up and grabbed a lady's crotch and said, "I don't have to be PC anymore."
Yes.
So that kind of behavior is not being discounted by our president-elect. That kind of behavior is exactly what he championed. So,
And there's no consequences or.
yeah. So
No, I think it's that you have to be proactive. If people act grown up about it and say, "Well, he's won. Let's wait and see what he's going to do," he'll start doing it.
I agree.
Well, that's
And the people who are up against him, the Democrats and the moderate Republicans in Congress, will not know how much support they have behind them.
But see, I
This
kind
is
of
they
agree,
know.
though,
The
because
majority of people in this country did not vote for Donald Trump. He won the Electoral College. He did not win the.
And unless it's made
So
public
they know they've
in
got
the
the
streets,
support,
he'll
and-
lie about it.
And even in the some of the states that he did win, he won by a razor-thin
He
margin.
disagrees with that, and he will not
Oh.
admit it until he sees more people protesting him than he sees at the inauguration.
He's still not going to admit it, but I agree kind of because when
The visuals are all
when,
important.
when the new Congress tried to pass immediately legislation to neuter the ethics committee, the Congressional Ethics Committee, people rose.
Yeah.
People started screaming, and they stopped. It's not to say that they're not going to try again, but you're right. As
Yeah.
soon as they start doing something, at the same time, I kind of agree with you that being reactionist is not very constructive and might be. You're right that they can now with supermajority, they can move legislation so lightning fast that we won't be able to react. Also, Louis made a great point. God damn it, I'm agreeing with everybody today. But
As long as you agree with me, that's
made a
really
great
the
point
important.
that when Obama stepped in, there was immediate obstructionism. There was a wave of obstructionism of people saying our goal is for him to fail. It doesn't matter what his policies are. We want him to fail. It was racist. It was wrong. It was unpatriotic, un-American, whatever you want to call it, undemocratic. But we are kind of doing the same to the Trumpster right now.
Oh,
and
no, I think that their message is we want our country to survive.
Yeah.
Not that we want him to fail. We want him to do the right thing, not the wrong thing.
I think well, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I listen to the Asian news channel and I listen to the European channel, and then just to get American channel, just to get different perspective. Per the Asian mainstream media saying this might be the beginning of the end of America as the
empire.
First world
superior
power,
power, the beginning of the end,
Yeah.
which, and then the European, I'm sure you're married to European and living
Yeah.
European, you understand their perspective.
Yeah.
They think the whole thing is a big show, like a farce. They don't really see,
They don't believe it.
you as a European, so
Yeah.
like they don't really.
You know what frightens me though? There's millions of people in Europe who are enamored with Trump. Millions of people who are supportive of his policies, his language, his attitude.
And they've been encouraged.
And there's traditionally powerful right-wing forces in Europe that are kind of have been simmering under the surface. And now they've been empowered. Donald Trump, his win, gave hatred social security number and an American passport, and now it travels. It travels, it infects, and in Europe it works. I'm sure it doesn't work in China, but in Europe everybody is crazy about him. So it's really scary. Not everybody, but millions of people are, and this has to do also with the refugee crisis in Europe. But it worries me. What original question of Lewis was, are we more depressed, more frightened, or have anything changed in our attitude after the election? What I am personally want to answer to this is that I'm kind of surprised because Donald Trump didn't change after becoming the president-elect. He didn't change his attitude. He didn't change his Twitter habits. He didn't make an effort to become more diplomatic or expand his vocabulary or his thought process, his view on life and global economy. He, in fact, if anything, he got even more abrasive and appointed bizarre people to key departments that seem to be there to destroy and not to support and build.
Definitely.
So, do you think then that is he's taken the fact that he has won as vindication of all of what we thought at the time was infantile and ultimately self-destructive behavior?
Yep. I mean, his narrative is all in his head. I mean, he's can't think of the words. I mean, he's a narcissist. I mean, he's
delusional.
He's a sophist. I mean, he believes that the truth is whatever you can convince somebody is the truth, and that's why he speaks the way he does and tries to frame everything as, oh, this is so great. Oh, look at how
The best.
beautiful this is, even when it's obvious that it's not.
Tony Schwartz wrote Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. Is written by a ghostwriter. He's a very talented man. Tony Schwartz. He had a spectacular interview in New Yorker magazine, where he described in detail the way he wrote the book and his communication with Donald Trump while writing the book. And he was basically the reason he came out in this interview was because Donald Trump, during his campaign, said American people should vote for me, the person that wrote The Art of the Deal, that masterpiece. There was 100 weeks on the bestseller list. And then Tony Schwartz got pissed and sent a memo to Donald Trump. Oh, really? So you think I should be president? And then he explained how narcissistic this man was. And the most shocking thing, though, that he said was that he was amazed by the inability of this man to concentrate. He said his attention span was literally 30 seconds, and he had hard time extracting any kind of information from him for the book just because he couldn't concentrate. And his mind was always circling around him. That sketch on Saturday Night Live with the mirror, it's actually very accurate. He views the world as he's the centerpiece, and everything has to revolve around him. And
I still picture Donald Trump as a goldfish.
Yeah.
Because he looks like one with a little hat on, with a little hair on.
Yeah.
And he has about the same attention span.
Go find that interview. It's really indicative of where we're heading, I think.
Did you notice that the last two words of President Obama's last press conference given today were good luck? And if you were streaming it, that sort of lingered there, written out as he faded off. And I just sort of watched that in stunned
Ominous.
silence. Yeah.
Ominous.
So you mentioned something I wanted to I'm curious about. You said there were millions of folks
In
in Europe that are enamored with Trump. Are those folks also fans of Putin?
Not necessarily. In fact, quite the opposite. There's a bizarre, like in my country, there's a bizarre division. The leftists are kind of rooted in old communism and are on the side of the Russia and are supportive of Putin.
Right.
People on the right are pro-Western and hate Putin, but they also love Trump.
That's surprising.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It could be just a reflex to reject anything to do with social issues and socialism because of all the decades of communism over there. But it's very bizarre.
It also highlights Trump's ability to be on any and all sides of an argument. You don't know where he stands. Nobody knows where he stands on anything.
He doesn't
Yeah.
even know.
No, because he can say two totally opposite things from one day to the next. And he'll
Well,
defend
in
both
the
of
same
them.
pseudo
deny
sentence,
both of them.
he'll say opposite thing.
Yeah.
So I have this new theory. I think we have been trained to love Trump
Who by?
by Hollywood of all places.
Damn Hollywood.
So
The
here's
top
my
guy,
here's my theory. Like one of the most popular movie characters right now is a rich guy.
Oh, Batman?
No, rich guy that basically has endeared himself to the crowd, even though he's a serialized womanizer and generally thought of as being unpleasant to be around. Everybody in Hollywood loves him because he can reduce anybody to a nickname in just a second. And it's one of the more endearing things that we have about him.
Who?
Tony Stark, Iron Man from the Marvel series. Like, there's this. If you look at that character, the Tony Stark character, and I was actually hoping that Tyler was here today to talk about this particularly
Yeah.
because he's more of a Marvel expert than I am.
Yeah.
But the Tony Stark character was created as a character that people wouldn't like. That was sort of the purpose of creating him.
And it backfired.
Backfired majorly. He's been incredibly popular for as long as he's been a character. And if you look at not necessarily like the political leanings of these two entities, Donald Trump and Tony Stark, and you ignore the fact that Tony Stark has it seems to grow a conscience. Like that's essentially the arc of his character in the movie. He starts off as horrible and as essentially becomes a hero. You look at the personalities of these two people, and they are the same. They are almost exactly the same.
Do you think it's cause and effect or just a coincidence?
Here's my question. I don't know if, again, I will be the only person at the table that says this. I think Trump is smarter than we are all giving him credit for.
Oh yeah, even the spectators around
Okay,
are looking skeptical at that.
I'll interrupt you.
I am not thinking that he's a good person or has good intentions or anything like that, but I think he knows how to read the crowds.
It would
Yeah.
not be hard to be smarter than I think he is.
See, okay,
That's
here's
so
the thing. Here's the thing. Trump didn't give a press conference for 2 years,
Right.
and we were all wondering why. He gave a press conference last week. I'm going to read you one sentence from this press conference, word for word, and then you tell me how you feel about Donald Trump's intelligence.
Okay.
This from last week. Donald Trump. Look, having nuclear, my uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT. Good genes, very good genes, okay? Very smart. The Wharton School of Finance, very good, very smart. You know, if you're a conservative Republican, if I were a liberal, if I can, as a liberal Democrat, they would say, I'm one of the smartest people anywhere in the world. It's true, but when you are a conservative Republican, they do a number. That's why I always start off. Went to Wharton, was a good student, went there, did this, build a fortune. You know, I have to give my credentials all the time because we're a little disadvantaged. But you look at the nuclear deal. The thing that really bothers me, it would have been so easy. And it's not as important as these lives are. Nuclear is powerful. My uncle explained that to me many, many years ago, the power. And that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what was going to happen. And he was right. Who would have thought? But when you look at what's going on with the 4 prisoners, now it used to be 3, now it's 4. But it was 3, and even now, I would have said it's all in the messenger, fellas. And it is, fellas, because you know, they haven't figured that the women are smarter right now than the men. So you know, it's gonna take them about 150 years, but the Persians are great negotiators. The Iranians are great negotiators. So, and they just killed. They just killed us. That was one sentence.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
my
see, here's the
goodness.
thing. As dumb as that sounded, it resonated with this gigantic group
Only-
of people.
No, and
Only
he just
because
strung
Trump
together
is
buzzwords.
a salesman.
But that's my point. This is
That's-
exactly
but you
my
don't-
point.
You
How
don't.
many people
you're-
did
it's
he
not-
pay off to get him through Wharton?
I don't know.
Hundreds,
knows?
probably.
No, put it this way. I am not saying that he is eloquent. I'm not saying that he is knowledgeable. I'm saying that he's got a skill set. His skill set is being able to manipulate large amounts of people. He's done it all of his
His
life.
skill set is inheriting a fortune.
But that's not smarts. That's not intelligence. That's schmoozing. That's being able to read someone a little bit, to engage in a bit of conversation, to feel somebody out as to where you think their interests might lie. I mean, I
Was
knew
that
a
feel
guy in
somebody out,
college
a
who
pun?
was not smart at all, but boy, he could schmooze a room like nobody's business. And
But it goes beyond schmoozing. This guy literally took the presidency from qualified candidates on both sides of the aisle.
well, I think that speaks more towards the stupidity of the United States than it does to the intelligence
No.
of
He
Donald
was
Trump.
brought up in a rich family. He inherited a lot of money, and he was taught from an early age how to bully and how to hire good lawyers.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Also,
No, I think that has a large part to do with what we're
Hire
what we're looking
lawyers
at.
and hire business managers
also-
and bully people, and you got it made.
But
and be rich.
don't we expect our politicians to be smarter than to fall prey to
No,
that?
we want like when George W. was elected. We want that guy that we think that we can go out to a bar and have a drink with and just have a good time with. I mean,
Going back to my Tony Stark notion.
in a sense. I
Yeah.
mean, but Trump really said it himself years ago when someone asked him about, I think it was one of the times he was thinking about running, You know, and he said explicitly, if I was going to run, I was going to run as a Republican because they listen to Fox News and they'll believe whatever you tell them.
Right.
Oh, brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
So my point in all of this was going back to the whole Tony Stark thing.
Right.
I don't know if he picked. Well, first of all, he picked the first Obama cycle to announce his first candidacy for running. But I don't know if it is a case of life imitating art that we now are talking about President Trump, or if there's something that was recognizable in the zeitgeist in America that he figured out exactly what you just said. Now is the time to run because we've got this huge underbelly of resentment in the country.
Closer to the reality television movement.
Megaphone for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the fact that he created drama, he created interest, he said so many outrageous things, and our addled,
He realized that the time was right to lie and have people take it.
well, not necessarily lie, but just
Oh, he lies.
Just be out there and quote unquote interesting. Just say whatever outrageousness you wanted to say. Create drama, create interest. It's like I think he said before. It's like I don't really care if they're saying good or bad about me. I mean, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but they're talking about me. You know, good or bad.
He's one of those guys that come to you at the car lot that I hate so
Yeah.
much. And what can I do to put you in that car?
That's my friend.
I don't need a car. No. Let me talk to my man, to my Putin.
It's like the guy I knew in college. I mean, he was just, you didn't want. I mean, me personally, I just didn't like being around him because he was just oily and creepy, and the stuff he said was just like, oh man, what?
No, I agree. I cannot imagine a wider circle of hell or a deeper circle of hell than having to sit and try to get meaning out of anything that Trump says. So.
Don't even try.
Don't want this to come across like I'm a Trump fan. That's farthest from the truth. It's just that I have a healthy respect for the power that he seems to wield over half the populace here.
That's why he didn't give a press conference for 2 years.
No shit.
Yeah. He's incapable of giving a coherent one.
What are you talking about? He said in his last press conference that he loved giving press conferences.
He loves
He
me.
told them all the time.
He also said he gives
yeah.
one every day.
Every single day.
He lies.
Well, that's what his tweets are. His tweets are his press conferences.
Yeah, right.
That's literally what his thinking is. That
that
Twitter.
putting out a tweet on his own is a response to a question from a member of the press. Right.
Yeah. All right, let's move away from Trump. He's annoying.
Please.
Very, very far.
So I am on Reddit all the time, and I came across this article that was an argument for teaching less math in school. Apparently in the 1930s, one of the school superintendents took up a challenge by a psychiatrist. Apparently at the time there was, you had to do the 3 R's, and there was 4 or 5 other subjects, and you couldn't add any new subjects into a school's curriculum without taking one of the things away. And this guy said, let's see if we can get rid of math. So this school superintendent, his name was L.P. Benezet, decided to try to get rid of teaching arithmetic for kids below 7th grade. In order to get the school board to be on board with him, he had to drop it down to 6th grade. And essentially, instead of teaching math, arithmetic, he had the students do what he called recitation. And by recitation, he just meant talking about the things that were interesting to students. His theory was, if you talk to students and have them use their, storytelling skills, logic skills in explaining what's going on in their world, it would be more effective than wasting time doing math drills. So 6th grade comes along for these kids. They're tested at the beginning of the year. They suck at math, and then they're given the same instruction that the other 6th graders are given for that year. And by the end of this period, and I should say that this guy used the less economically advantaged students, I read that as black, to
Probably true.
To experiment.
to experiment. And his thinking was parents in the economically advantaged areas would
They'll
bark.
rebel.
Yeah, they'd rebel at the notion that their kids weren't being taught arithmetic. Anyway, the guy basically avoided teaching these kids arithmetic for 6 years. just had them talk, use their logic. At the end of the 6th grade year, they all did as good, if not better, than the regular classes. So, to that end, like, I immediately thought of you, Ivo, because you come from a completely different school system than we do here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you think, well, and Lynn happens to be here this week. So, first of all, I want to ask the whole panel, what are you guys' thoughts on math? We've talked about it off mic, but Chris, you're an engineer. Lynn, you work with actuary, financial analysis. And Kath, I get just like glimpses and bits of like your math
I have
depth.
a master's in math.
You have a master's in math. Okay.
Yeah, and I was a TA in college, teaching at college level, and
Gotcha.
I've tutored statistics and math, and I've taken to math. My whole family are engineers, like a duck to water.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay. In grade school, we didn't learn rote, or if we do, I don't remember it. We were given the new math stuff where you went at your own level, and you're given a bunch of workbooks, and I was through them in like 6 weeks and 3 years worth. It was fun. I love the logic and the answers that are either right or wrong. There's no gray area there. That's me.
Right. I like what's behind the number. I don't particularly like the number itself. I like what is behind the number. I like what it tells me, the picture, and I like how when I see the number, what we can do with that, what it tells me. So.
And Chris, you're an engineer.
I think you could scale back math for younger grades. I remember doing multiplication memorization back in 3rd grade and 4th grade, and I don't
It does
think
seem a little silly, doesn't it?
It doesn't,
Spending all that time on that.
I don't think you need to do that so much.
Yeah.
And I think that, like you were saying too, do it more at the student space. If you've got a kid who really wants to learn math, who finds it exciting, give them workbooks and let them run with it. Teach some basics. This is what addition and multiplication are, and division and subtraction, so they know about it. And just 1 + 1 is 2, and real basic math. But let the kids kind of find it on their own.
One thing I'll tell you for sure, because we grew up in different system, I'll tell you my basic math is a lot better than him.
Yeah.
For a long time. But then once I get more advanced, my basic math get worse because I don't use that a lot. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's what engineers, we learn differential equations, and
Right.
we're studying, okay, what does this equation mean to me? Not,
Right.
okay, I can do, 45 times 317 in my head like that.
Oh yeah, and then between us, I'll tell you, when we see a spreadsheet like our finance, I see what's behind that. He does not understand. He sees physics equation. It's very hard for me to make him understand finance. I don't care about the details. I care about the substance. What makes difference for me if one time he made an error, 1,000 versus 10K. So that number does not make any sense to me because that number cannot be like that. I care about substance. I remember back in business school, the professor told me, how can you make an engineer and a housewife understand what you're talking about? So if you can work through that, then this definitely will help your career. So I'm just telling you, we see things very different, even if we understand the number.
So we have 4 mathematical minds here, and just me that is not involved in anything that has to do with math. So I feel like it's good maybe for the kids when they're very young. The big question is, are we wired to understand abstract mathematical concepts, or are we acquiring it, or do we acquire it later? And some kids obviously exhibit just mathematical aspirations from very early age, and some don't. And I was definitely one of those that didn't. And mathematical concepts were very foreign and very bizarre to me. And I struggled in the beginning of my education. I really struggled with math. But I think it's extremely important, especially nowadays in the information age and in technology age, for kids to study math. And I have a feeling that even if you're not wired that way, I think if math education starts on time, you can acquire this facility. And it's amazing how later in life you recognize how incredibly important math is and how suspiciously omnipresent it is in everything in the freaking universe. You know, it's the golden ratio and the Fibonacci number, and you see the symmetry of math and the numbers present in everything around us, in freaking molecules and the shell of a snail and everything. And so, especially nowadays, I think it's very important that the kids study math and study it vigorously, probably more so than other subjects. I don't know.
Well, that's where I differ a bit. I don't think it's important that they study math early. I think that what this study shows is that the important thing to study is logic.
Applications of math in
Right.
life, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the notion, I think.
Yeah. If you learn to speak of experiences and make sense out of them out loud with other people and go logically from one point to the next, doesn't matter whether you're doing it mathematically or orally, but in words.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and
It's logic that's very, very important. And if you get the basic concepts of logic down, you can go to math, you can go to other things.
Yeah, what I couldn't understand, like as a 5th, 6th grader, because we studied math at a higher level at 5th, 6th grade than here in the States. You know, and what I couldn't understand is what is the practical application of a certain complex axiom. You know, I'm studying it and it's so foreign, it's just so mechanical. And I wish the teacher would say, okay, look at this assembly line in the factory. This is how this formula helps this machine work and produce clothes, you know, and then we probably it would have been much easier for us to understand the meaning of this. So yeah, I kind of agree that maybe there's got to be a different approach, especially for kids like I was, that was so disadvantaged in math, you know.
Well, there's something to be said for not everybody needs to know the high-level math. That there's a lot of, I mean, the question comes is when am I ever going to use this again in my life? And for a lot of people, you're not. You know, you don't need to learn, you know, all of the stuff that I learned to become an engineer or all the stuff that you needed to get, you know, a master's or a major in math. You know, but you still at least need to know some of the basics of, you know, this is what math is. These are the, you know, this it can help you. You know, the good stuff to learn is it can help you balance a budget to know, you know, we've got so much coming in, you've got so much going out.
Like Lynn, I mean, by using the power of math, today she calculated all the infinite probabilities that involved the chances of her microphone being green, and she dressed accordingly with the exact same color.
She matches her microphone.
All of us failed. Look at us.
Hey,
you know. No. Look at this. This is freaking incredible.
Oh, okay.
I would
I
say
needed to tan more for mine.
no. I would say I think it's good for the kids to study math, and I think it can be acquired later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who knows when it's
Right.
going to come in play? You know,
Right.
it might be later in life, but you know.
And I totally agree with you. It's two sides of a mirror. Like, however you quantify the analysis, however you draw that conclusion, if it's a story or it's a spreadsheet, as long as you can back it up,
Yeah,
makes sense to people.
Learning to use your mind
Right.
to explain and to identify and to understand is the goal of education.
Yeah.
Sort of like in Apocalypse Now, free your mind and your ass will follow.
Apocalypse Now. That's a quote from Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
All right, so I think we are coming up on our hour. If we're not there, we're getting close. So since we started off on such a negative, pissy note about what was pissing me off, I thought maybe we would end by talking about what made me smile this week. So this week, you know, they've, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, Spotify posted a new job on their website. It's called the President of Playlists. The President of Playlists basically requires someone that has, the requirements include having won a Nobel Peace Prize, having run a country successfully for the past 8 years, being able to get along with people from different
races, culture.
nationalities, what have you.
And
You're kind of narrowing down
and
the
be born
list here.
and be born in Kenya.
And be born. No, as he was making plans to exit office, someone asked Obama in a Q&A what he planned to do after serving as president, and he made this kind of throwaway joke. Well, I'm hoping to find a job at Spotify. So I found this president of playlists. And Spotify didn't advertise it. They literally just, if you go to their careers page from January 13th, there's a listing, president of playlists, and it by the time they get through all the requirements and all the job duties, you know that is targeted to one individual in particular. And so I just thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's made me smile.
Who's that?
Elizabeth Warren. The way she has been targeting questions at Trump nominees. I loved her comment with the billionairess who's intent on destroying the
Education
education system. And asked her about her experience with this, that, or that, and it turned out there was none. So, so she just summed it up by saying, "So no experience."
Yeah, that's probably the least of the problems with that nominee. Actually, lack of experience is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem, she's on the record saying that she wants public education destroyed. She's on the record.
Yeah, having had no experience with
I
any sort of public education.
I listened to the radio show today from 5 years ago when she actually stated that if she would find a way to defund public education completely so she can get God's kingdom back on track, she would do it. So they should have brought that interview up, because it's really disturbing. So that kind of makes you smile, but it also makes you sad, right?
Yeah, but Elizabeth Warren is a bright spot.
At least there's a warrior there. Yeah. So,
I agree.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, so many things. Actually, surprisingly, a large amount of things made me smile. One of them, paradoxically, is Janine Girafalo, because she's still
That made me
fabulous.
I'm going to smile
You
at that too. Yeah.
She actually looks great, wobbly or not.
How do you know it's... No, never mind. I don't want to know that.
It's a lady. I haven't really looked, but there's elegance to it, to the statue. Just looks like it would be Janine Girafalo.
Okay.
And then what else? I mean, so many things. Actually, I watched a ridiculous, immature movie called Why Him that made me hurl.
Oh, yes, I've seen the ads.
Bryan Cranston.
I am
and
not going to go
James
see
Franco.
that.
Then actually, this press conference, I was rolling on the floor laughing, listening to this ridiculous sentence.
Actually, it's better if you're listening to it as read by Ivo. Let me just tell you.
But many things actually made me smile. Thank God we have not lost our ability to smile. KU beating Iowa State made me smile. It's just a gazillion things.
I was happy to see that we avoided the ice apocalypse this past weekend.
Oh,
That
yeah.
Yes,
It didn't
that
get
was
near
good.
as bad as they were
Being
predicting.
here in the Midwest, we were told we were going to be under an inch of ice.
Damn it.
Nothing.
I was
Nothing
expecting
at all.
tree limbs down everywhere, power,
Hate
dead.
them naming everything. Snowstorms are named now. Blizzards are named. Next, we're gonna have we'll be naming drizzles. Drizzle Andrew is on its way to Kansas City. Watch out! Gust of wind, Darth. Watch out! Gust
That's
of
a great
wind.
name for a
It's
storm,
called-
Darth.
Yes, Darth is a great name for a storm. I've discussed that before. Naming the stupid hurricanes. We need different system. It just naming us Hurricane Steve just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But that's a different topic. I agree. The ice apocalypse didn't happen. That was great.
Lynn, did you have anything?
I watched the Chelsea Leicester City game. It's just a great game.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
they won
3-0.
3-0.
Yeah.
You're a Chelsea fan.
Yes, I
Unfortunately.
Oh boy.
All right. I think it is time to call it a show. I want to thank Kath, Ivo, Lynn, and Chris for showing up this week.
And
You're
Jeremy
welcome.
Taylor for not being here.
And Jeremy Taylor for not being here. No, we miss Jeremy. We can't
miss
wait
him.
for
We
him
love
to
him.
be back. Thank you to Neil, our engineer, and Eric, the producer, for doing a fine job as always. Thank you to Tom for letting us do this here at the show. Ivo, did you have something you wanted
And
to say?
I want to thank our parents and relatives And the other listener.
is not
we
the
have.
Oscar.
One other listener. I think you named him Tim last week. So
All my
thank you,
ancestors.
Tim. All right, folks, that is it. Jeremy returns next week. Have a good week and tune in at WednesdayNightUndressed.com. Thank you.
Hey.